I'm Patricia. Standing in the middle of what was supposed to be a joyous 60th birthday party for my mother, the air crackled with tension and disbelief. My father, Robert, stood in the center of the living room, a glass of champagne in hand, announcing a special surprise for my sister, Lily. Outside, a shiny new Lexus glistened in the sunlight, a red bow perched on its hood. He boasted that it was made possible by my grandmother, Amelia's, generosity, claiming she sold her precious antique violin to invest in Lily's future. As the words left his mouth, a hush fell over the room. I watched in silence, my hands trembling, as the memories of what truly happened came flooding back. It started a few weeks prior when my grandmother was admitted to the hospice after a severe heart attack. The call came on a Friday afternoon, just as I was finishing up my last violin lesson of the week. My father's voice on the other end was cold and matter of fact. Amelia's had another heart attack. She's stable, but being moved to hospice. Family meeting at the hospital in an hour. I rushed to the hospital, my mind racing with worry. When I arrived, my parents and Lily were already there. My father, a successful but cold-hearted businessman, stood with his arms crossed, his face stern. My mother, Victoria, a socialite obsessed with appearances, clung to her designer handbag. Lily, 3 years younger than me and always the apple of my parents' eyes, was scrolling through her phone, barely looking up. "Good you're here," my father said. "We need to divide responsibilities. You'll visit Amelia daily. Your schedule as a music teacher is flexible." I wanted to protest, to tell him that my work was just as important, but I held my tongue. I loved my grandmother, and I wanted to be there for her. Grandma Amelia's room was filled with the scent of old books and roses. She was 78, a former renowned violinist, now battling congestive heart failure. One evening, she reached for my hand. "Patricia, my dear," she said, her voice weak but determined, "my Stradivarius violin. It's yours. I've told your parents. It's the only thing in this family that truly understands your soul." I remembered the look on my father's face when she said that, a mix of annoyance and envy. 2 weeks later, Grandma asked me to bring some old photos from her house. When I arrived, the house was eerily quiet. I walked into the study where the violin had been displayed for decades. The case was empty. My heart sank. I called my mother, my voice trembling. "Mom, where's Grandma's violin?" She replied casually, "Your father took care of it. It's an adult matter." And then she hung up on me. That evening, I went to my parents' house. My father opened the door, a glass of scotch in his hand. "You sold the violin?" I demanded. He shrugged, "Got a great price, $120,000. And we used it to buy Lily a new car. She needs to make a good impression on Mark's family." Mark was Lily's boyfriend, the son of one of my father's important clients. I was furious. "But Grandma said it was mine," I exclaimed. My mother chimed in, "You're just a music teacher. You don't need it. Lily has a future to build." Lily sauntered in, twirling the car keys. "Don't be jealous, Patricia. Maybe if you'd had a better career, you could afford nice things too." I couldn't believe what I was hearing. I thought about all the times I'd kept quiet, all the times I'd let them walk all over me. But this was too much. I decided I had to tell Grandma the truth. The next morning, I went to the hospice. Grandma was awake, looking out the window. I sat beside her, took her hand, and told her everything. To my surprise, she didn't cry or scream. She simply let out a long sigh and reached for her phone. She dialed a number and said, "It's time, Albert." 2 days later, I met with Albert, Grandma's attorney, a tall, serious-looking man in his late 60s. He explained that Grandma had been watching my father's actions for years. The house my parents lived in, which they thought was theirs, was actually still in Grandma's name. She'd let them live there rent-free, hoping that my father would change his ways. And 5 years ago, she'd set up a trust to protect her most valuable assets, including the violin, in case of financial misconduct. The beneficiary of that trust was me. Back at the party, as my father finished his announcement, my Aunt Helen, Grandma's sister, stepped forward. "Robert, did you ask Amelia before you sold that violin?" My father's smile faltered. "Mother is in no condition to make these decisions. We did what was best for her." But then, Albert entered the room, his briefcase in hand. "Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Albert, Amelia's attorney. She has asked me to address some urgent matters regarding her estate." The room went silent. He held up the deed to the house. "This house has always been in Amelia's name. Your parents have been living here as tenants, at will. And regarding the trust, the Stradivarius violin, along with all of Amelia's financial accounts and items of sentimental value, are irrevocably assigned to Patricia." My father's face turned white. "This is impossible," he shouted. But Albert was unmoved. "The $120,000 from the violin sale must be returned to the trust within 30 days, or there will be legal consequences. And your living arrangement here will be formally restructured." Lily burst into tears, and my mother stared at me, her eyes filled with hatred. "You've done this on purpose. You're just jealous of Lily," she screamed. But I stood my ground. "I didn't do anything. Grandma made these decisions years ago. I'm just standing up for what's right." After the chaos subsided, Albert pulled me aside. He said I had options, like evicting my parents immediately. But I didn't want to be that kind of person. I decided to give them 90 days to return the money and let them stay in the house with a minimal rent until Grandma passed away, after which they'd have 12 months to find a new place. The weeks that followed were tough for my family. My father's business partners started to distance themselves from him, and Lily's relationship with Mark fell apart. 3 weeks later, Grandma passed away peacefully. 6 months after her death, I moved into Grandma's house. I used part of the return money to buy a beautiful new violin. It wasn't the Stradivarius, but it was mine, and it carried the same love and passion. I started giving private violin lessons on weekends, and my first student was my Aunt Helen's granddaughter. 8 months later, Lily called me. Her voice was small and unsure. "Patricia, I've been thinking. I've realized that I was wrong. I'm going to therapy, and I'm starting to understand how our parents' actions affected us." I listened, and for the first time, I felt a glimmer of hope for our relationship. Now, as I sit at my violin, the sunset painting the room in a warm glow, I think about everything that's happened. I've learned that standing up for myself, even against family, is not only necessary but also liberating. Grandma taught me that love should be based on truth and respect, and I'm finally living a life that reflects that.